Twisters is back, baby, with a new team and a new plan to save the world. However, this time we don't just have Dorothy up our sleeve, we have something new. Hi, everybody, my name is Jesse.
And I'm Addie.
And we just finished watching Twisters. At its core, in this movie, we follow Glen Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones in their quest to once again defeat tornadoes / save humanity from their wrath by providing a more advanced warning system or just trying to dissipate the weather event as a whole.
For the size of the tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sequel gives us some familiar faces in a very familiar setup, but with twisters to keep it fresh along the way.
Yeah, there is a lot of familiar tropes. If you've seen the original enough times or like it enough to remember the little things like quotes, actions, or ways that people act and behave, you'll feel very much at home in this film. It feels very familiar, but at the same time, new and fresh. You don't feel like, all right, we're rehashing the same storyline. There's other movies that have done it, like Jurassic Park / Jurassic World. It almost feels like a copy and paste with like a newer twist on it, right? This is, in that sense, kind of the same way, but to the tune of it's differently paced, I guess, and the characters are not copy and paste as we mentioned. Familiar faces, but with a twist. So that is very nice.
Yeah, I agree. I don't remember the first movie. I think I've only watched it once.
Yeah, I showed it to you once.
But I thought the characters were like new and refreshing, like compared to like characters in like other movies. They had also great chemistry, and I think they casted the perfect people for each role. Glen Powell, of course, he was great. He was charismatic. He's from Austin, Hookem, and I think he played his part like very well, considering that he's the source of some twists and turns.
Yeah, so all these characters, the way I felt, and we were talking about this on the way out, I told you that was like, I feel like all the original characters are almost back in spirit. You can feel each one of the original characters resonating through these new characters, but it's not very much copy and paste in the sense
they're
like,
not
Glen
reprising.
Powell.
They're not reprising the other person's roles.
Mm-hmm.
They just have like hints and speckles of like the original's personality.
Definitely, exactly. Very good way to put it. But yeah, in that way, it felt very fresh, very new, very exhilarating. Every scene was pumping with action, and if it wasn't pumping with action, it was filled with charisma. Like everybody brought so much to the table that kept it fun, entertaining. The story moved along at a good pace. It never felt slow, and it just felt so nice that they did the original such good service. Like they actually did a great job. They didn't butcher this, being that it's a totally new cast, a new director. It could have gone south easily, but they did a great job honoring the original.
Yeah, I think they did a great job in adding in new elements that kind of like make this a more modern film. One of the things that I like noticed probably from the trailer is that Glen Powell's character is a YouTuber, and I thought that was very like modern.
Yeah,
it's still kind of weird to see like movies or TV shows where they have like influencers and YouTubers, because it still kind of feels new to me. It feels weird that like it's a concept that's made it onto the big screen. I feel noticed. I feel perceived, and people that watch movies from like this time, 30, 40 years down the road are gonna be like, what's a YouTuber?
What's a stream?
It's just like, oh, a little cringe. But yeah, I thought that was cool. They also use a bunch of like cool, like new, probably non-existent technology with like how to track tornadoes and like better ways to get them up, like the little like metric thingies up into the air. So I thought that was super cool. And then I don't know if the cars are any more modern than they were in the original movie, but I thought the concept of like drilling the thing into the ground was super cool.
They did pay homage to the original vehicles that like the team used in the OG movie, in a sense, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was good. Yeah, to your point, like one of the things I mentioned was that it was nice that he's a YouTuber because it gives him a reason to be out there instead of just like, I'm being a nuisance driving out here to mess around with
Mm-hmm.
tornadoes. His reasoning is that he's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
He's doing it for the
he's
fans.
doing things that you'd see YouTube people do.
Yeah, it was
Like
giving,
challenges
like,
and
yeah,
stuff.
it was
Like
giving like
it was
Logan Paul
without
in a way or something.
yeah,
like
without
that.
saying too much, like challenges and stuff. That it's like, oh, that's why you're out there. So that was super great. It was super fun, and yeah, it was a good mix to throw in there. You know, you got the seriousness, and then you've got the jokester side of it. So it was super fun. But to that point, I think we're gonna go ahead and drop our ratings here. Since after this, we're gonna do a little bit of just like a chit chat session, a spoiler talk, if you will. So for myself, this movie, it was great being able to walk in with extremely high expectations, and I left loving this film. The cinematography, charisma, overall attention to detail made every scene a joy to watch. It was fantastic. I loved it. And so I have to give this movie a solid 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I thought it was a great homage to the original, great follow up. I low-key hope they don't even make any more because it was just so good. Like, where else could you go from here? I thought Chef's Kiss, beautiful movie.
I agree. I also give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Which is interesting because I mean, this wasn't like super a disaster film. I like kind of like, you know, end of the world type of movies, and this didn't feel end of the world, but it was like cool that it was centered around like a weather related event. So it kind of gave me like a little hint. Yeah, a little hint of like disaster movie. But I also really liked the characters. I really liked the like drama and tension that they have between the characters. I thought the plot twists were really entertaining and things that I didn't see coming. Because again, I watched the trailer a couple times and I don't remember anything of it, so I didn't really know what we were walking into. For the first half, I thought they were just remaking the old movie.
Oh. Okay.
But then I think I remembered you telling me that it's not a remake. So yeah, I didn't know anything going in. But yeah, I thought that was super cool. I thought the main character, Daisy Edgar Jones's character, I thought her like arc and like processing of her trauma was really neat. But yeah, I loved it. Would have watched again.
I do want to note she did not like the original film at all.
I don't remember that.
When I showed it to you, when I showed it to you that night, I asked you, and you're like, and I think you rated it on Letterboxd like a 1.5 or a 2. She didn't like it. She's not a real fan. And then shortly after, you were talking to one of your friends, and you were saying how like you loved the first movie and you were excited for this one, and I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that I didn't like it, but it did feel old.
Go check her Letterboxd.
Yeah. It's not public.
Oh, okay. I'll have to pull it up. But yeah. So those are our ratings. Please go check out this film if you can in Dolby. It was amazing. It wasn't like super loud and obnoxious where you had to like hold your. I was kind of worried about that for you.
Yeah, I was.
So you
worried
don't
I
have
forgot
to
my
worry
earphones.
about it being super loud or obnoxious. It was perfectly mixed. The audio was beautifully mixed. It was great. It felt immersive. It had a lot of deep rumblings that you have to be in some place like Dolby or XD to feel them.
Like you're wearing a Dolby shirt.
and sense them because it's part of that immersion, and it felt great feeling those rumbles and shakes and hearing that surround audio as well, hearing like the things coming from the back and the wind and everything. Oh, Chef's Kiss, beautiful, fantastic movie. Please go support it in theaters. Show the love that this movie needs. And if you do check it out, let us know what you think in the comments down below. And now, on to our spoiler section. So right here it's going to say spoilers. So if you don't want to stick around, now is your chance to leave. And if you're not gone, till next time.
Everybody dies.
If whoever's here, you're here for the spoilers. So on to your point about him being a YouTuber, I liked how it was like he was doing like challenges.
Yeah.
So we see him shoot up the fireworks, and he's like, and now y'all know you can shoot up fireworks into a tornado. And I was like,
something about like, oh, like leave. We'll do the next something else next time.
So I was like, oh my gosh. So I remember seeing the firework thing happens inside one of the trailers, but I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a test or something
Hmm.
they're doing, something significant, right? I immediately assumed
Maybe
he's
it
just
was
gonna be
like the
like
lights from like the little like orbs or whatever,
or
something.
something. And because in the trailer they do mention like, oh yeah, they're fireworks, but then he's just like, it was super just surface level, so it felt like a Mr. Beast, Logan Paul kind of thing happening, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. That
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
Yeah. He did a great job of being like irksome, and like he was getting real annoying and real pretentious, but then he showed his soft side and he won us over.
Yeah, and so on that about like his character growth, I guess you could call it. The other part that was really cool was just the twist and turns the movie takes, because so we start off again. This is spoiler section, so you're in. There's some massive spoilers for the storyline. We start off with a team, and you're like, they have great charisma, they work well together, they're all best friends, they're having a great time, and they have a plan. And then within the first, what, 15, 20 minutes of the
Yeah, I
film?
wouldn't even. I thought it was like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, they all die.
We
Except
had
for the
barely dug into the popcorn.
Except for the main character.
Well,
and
no,
I was
two,
like,
two people survived. There was like a group of 5.
Right. Two
Yeah,
people
it was a
survived,
group
but
of 5,
yeah.
and two people survived because one of them was
and
like
then
far away.
one of them, yeah, he was like the data gatherer, so
the
he
high
stayed
school
he stayed far away, and they all died. I'm just like, what have you done?
Yeah, and it's
this was
really jarring seeing them just like fly away.
And because I was like, this is our team, you know, so I was like expecting to walk in and be like, all right, immediately right off the bat, we're rooting for the underdog, you know, who doesn't have all the equipment, doesn't have all the tools, but they're smart, versus the people with the tech, because that's what happens in the first movie.
Mind you, they were also like students, because she said for like my
for
like
funding.
high school, for my high school project or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are these children doing?
So immediately that's my thought. Right? I'm like, all right, it's okay if they redo the original cliches, it's fine. But then they throw that curveball, and I was like, whoa. So then,
and then it jumps 5 years.
You move forward, and now you're supposed to be rooting for the big guys who have like corporate VC funding. They have all the tech. They have the nice new vehicles. They go super fast. Homeboy has a Ram TRX, which is like
the reason we're rooting for them is because the other survivor of the original accident, he started the company, and he went to go get Kate, who is Daisy Edgar Jones, to kind of like, hey, we need you. You're like the best like storm tracker we know.
You're the backbone of the group.
Yeah, and so that was like, oh, okay, you know, they're getting the remainder of the team back together. So it's like,
we're getting the band back together.
Whatever's left of it.
So there's a lot of trauma dumping involved there, a lot of, you know, convincing and stuff like that. And he finally gets her on, but then we realize that there's some shady business going on, because he makes it out to seem like it's something okay. They're doing it for the good of the people, but then, you know, we come to realize they're not doing it for the good of the people. And it's super cool. Again, one of those things that's like a callback, because there's a bunch of little things like quotes and stuff like, you're back, no, I'm not back, and then them getting hyped up over a dinner, over a family member that they all love. So in the original, that's Aunt May or something like that, and they all live together at her house. In this movie, at the beginning, it's Kate's mom. That they're like, oh my gosh, she's having a barbecue or whatever, right? So all the little callbacks. But another one that was kind of small is they casted someone who is like Javi's right hand man, and he looks just like the guy from the first film who's like the tech snob. He's the leader of like the tech group. He's like the leader of the tech group, and he's real like, no, we're going this way. No, we're following the data. We're doing this. We're doing that. And he's just like, he even looks almost very similar to him. I didn't do my research, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was somehow related to him. He probably is not. But I thought that was too
much homage.
I thought that was really cool, because I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's he's so that guy. And so it feels wrong from the beginning to be rooting for this tech team.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And there's little hints to that along the way.
But yeah, and then it feels like it's like the movie's turning into an enemies to lovers like type of plot, because from the beginning, what's Glenn Powell? Tyler?
Yes, because they call him T. Yeah, Tyler. Yeah.
From the beginning, Tyler notices Kate, and he like goes up to her all like cocky, and she's just like, okay. So like you can sense some tension. And then as the like movie progresses and both teams are chasing the same tornadoes, you know, they kind of like start to one up each other and give each other little like smirks or whatever. But then after Kate kind of like figures out or starts to get a hint that the team that she's on is doing shady stuff, she kind of like lets Tyler in a little bit, and they end up going to a rodeo, and a tornado happens, and of course like they're helping people, they're saving like the like some kid and the mom and somebody in a hotel, and then she like starts to realize that like, oh, his team isn't just like views and pranks and like doing this for like money. They're like actually helping the community. The like stuff that they were selling was so they could get money to like get food to like, help people that like just lost everybody, like all their homes and everything.
Yeah.
So she starts realizing that like they're good people and there's more substance to them than like what they show on their YouTube channel, which I thought was also nice.
Yeah, and I like how that team refers to all the like techie guys as squares because all of them have so much character. They each one of them is very unique and different, very well written, and again pays. I keep using this word, but pays so much homage to a lot of the original characters. If we some of us might remember, he was my favorite character growing up, but Dusty. He's the guy who comes out in the Hunger Games who died.
Yeah.
There's a girl in this movie who's like him, is like all raggedy and just like all cool, super laid back and loose. And then Glenn Powell's obviously like Bill Paxton, and we've got a couple of others in there. That there's a mix. There's one guy who I was telling you that he gave me like Neil deGrasse Tyson vibes, and he's like super smart and like would like read the maps and everything. He's like, oh, this is happening over here. But yeah, that was super fun seeing how they all had their own personas, very well thought out and planned out for this film. But yeah, one of the other little things that I was that caught my attention was just, again, how similar it is to the original, but it mixes it up, And one of those things that I liked was that there's a reasoning behind everything, and Kate has what drives her, and at the same time almost doesn't drive her, is her trauma. Again, we start this movie just like we start Twister. We start Twisters with trauma and loss. As we talked about, we lose the majority of her original team of friends in the beginning of the film. And that is a big development that happens within those first 5 minutes that creates her character and sets the tone, the mood for her moving forward, which I thought was a great way to start the film. Like how else could you start a movie about Twisters if not trauma?
If not from a Twister trauma.
Yeah, but I love that there's great comedy chops. There's a lot of funny moments, a lot more than I was expecting, to be honest, because Twister has its comedy chops, but as a whole, it's a serious drama, action drama, maybe you could even call it. This is more of a, maybe you could even say comedy action drama. Like I would throw comedy in there just because like there is plenty of actually really good comedy chops.
Yeah,
where like
cracking up a little
bit. The theater I found it to be cracking up quite a bit, and it was really good. But when the going gets going, it goes like it goes hard. It goes hard. Like when it's serious, it takes itself very seriously, and it feels intense and good, and like there's things at stake. Like if they're trying to save 5 people, that all those 5 people are not gonna make it. Like 2 are gonna survive. So that there's things at stake. This movie is not afraid to show people getting sucked up into tornadoes and flying around.
There was at least like 8 people that I could count that got sucked up into a tornado.
Yeah, and it shows fear in a very real way. I love it when movies do this, where it's like people are not obedient, like they lose their common sense almost, just because fear is shooting through their bodies, and we all respond
like Inside Out, where like anxiety is frozen.
Yeah, we all respond to fear differently, and some people, fear is going to drive you to do the most sane, direct thing, and lead you to safety. And in other people, fear, you end up in shock, and then you just don't know what to do, or you're like, no, I know what I'm doing. And you see a lot of those scenes where people are like trying to escape in cars, or they get up when they shouldn't and stuff like that, and they get hurt, they die,
they fly away,
and they go bye. And so that is a nice aspect of this film, seeing the realities of what a tornado disaster looks like. and as it's driving through a place and hitting people. So yeah, a lot to unpack in this film. It was delightful.
It's delightful.
Delightful, yeah.
Would watch
Very
again.
pleasantly surprised. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely would watch again. I would love to go sit in Dolby again and experience it.
Mhm.
I don't think it's been a while since I've like sat in Dolby and said like, wow, this mix was really good. Because sometimes it's just too loud. Sometimes where you just can't even enjoy it.
Yeah, but I think that's like the person up
Partially that,
because
but
I know they
partially
can control the volume.
part that well, yes, they can, but part the mixing as well. Like the mixing has a lot to do with it. Like movies are mixed at the end of the day as well, so you can choose to do just master volume, just crank that thing up all the way or something, you know. But very pleasantly surprised with the entire thing. Like I said, I walked in with high expectations, walked out loving it. You were worried that I wasn't gonna like it,
Yeah.
but because I've been let down before, but I just couldn't help but be super excited for this film. But yeah, any other topics of discussion?
No,
Yeah,
covered everything. I'm a Glenn
Yeah.
Powell fan now.
Oh, great.
Is this how you felt about Sydney Sweeney? I see the hype.
Yeah, but hope y'all stuck around. If you stuck around for this, for the two people that stuck around
Junior.
to the end of this, we see you. We appreciate you. And yeah, please go check out this movie. It's fantastic. And like I already mentioned, if you do, come back here. Let us know what you thought. Drop a like just to let us know that you like the film.
Please, we're begging.
Any likes? Can you spray some likes? But yeah, I guess that's a wrap on this episode.
That'll make sense after you watch the movie.
Till next time.